just sits alone on the edge of the bench after what just happened. There's another shot of the mystery ghost pumpkin that is giving candy out, apparently.
I want one. Can you throw one up?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, can someone of the people that have an earphone out there just throw one up, please?
I don't know if
I'm actually serious. Like, I'm not kidding or anything.
I don't really. I'm good on candy. I stopped doing that a while ago. I'm not one of those, like, you know, those like 22-year-olds who go trick or treating. There's like some 22-year-old right now watching. He's like gonna go trick or treating tomorrow because it's not Halloween yet in the States. He's like, well, I mean, I'm like, what costume are you wearing, man? He's like, I'm going as a DJ. I'm gonna wear headphones around my neck. I'm like, no, man. Like, you need to stay at home and give candy out to the children who go out to eat candy. What are you doing out there? Just go buy candy at Walmart if you want to eat candy, you weirdo.
Everybody down there is ignoring me. Nobody throws anything up here.
It's fine.
That's unfortunate.
I don't know if any of the guys who had the headphones got candy, because maybe they're like me and they're like, I'm done eating candy, you know, I'm not a kid anymore.
What is that supposed to mean? You can eat candy when you're not a kid?
Yeah, like occasionally. Like occasionally I'll eat a Twix bar and I'll feel really bad about it. Like a few minutes later, I'm like, why did I eat a Twix bar? Like, what was the purpose of this?
You should rather feel bad when you drink the next bottle of soju than when you eat a Twix bar.
Soju's for adults, man. Twix is for kids.
Oh my god.
Trix is Trix for rabbits?
I'm not even talk about that.
Trix for rabbits or wait? I'm getting all confused.
I'm an adult. I have to drink alcohol and smoke.
Well,
I want to belong to the cool kids.
The smoking part is a little different, but it's the same argument.
Anyways, StarCraft.
But anyways, I respect people who eat candy. I'm just making a joke. But the people who take candy from children, that's not okay.
Why would you take candy from children?
Well, if you're trick-or-treating, man, eventually the candy's going to run out. You're taking somebody candy. You're taking candy from children by proxy, okay?
Yeah,
I'm the proxy wolf. I know all about that.
Okay. Panic and Hurricane in the booth right now, and the thing is that currently FXOpen is down one game. Joya was kind of, I don't want to say expected to lose, but he was the one that people said, okay, he's going to be the underdog in the match. The way that he lost was a bit of a surprise on the other hand, but now we have a match where Hurricane is the favorite. Panic has shown us a really good run when they were up against Axie Mesa in the first round of the season, but since then, kind of lost all of his matches, and so we don't really know which Panic we're going to see today.
Yeah, it's Fruitland, so things could get pretty crazy.
Yeah. Fruitland is actually going to be an interesting map for that.
If we go late game, which on Fruitland I doubt we will, but if we do, the fruits actually could come into play with you know, big death balls moving around trying to capture those. Could cause some engagements to go awry. We'll see. I think this could be, if it goes to late game, a really, really tense match because it's Fruitland. But because it's Fruitland, I don't think we're going to get there.
We're going to the game right now, ladies and gentlemen. The second Protoss versus Protoss of the day here at the GSTL FXOpen up against StarTale. Hurricane versus Panic. Brought to you by Hollow. And starting to the top right, we have for FXOpen.
FXO Hurricane.
Hurricane, the favorite in this match. We have him with the 16 map wins and 11 losses, nearly 60% win ratio against Protoss. The recent one that he took down was actually Hero. And now we're starting to the bottom left of the map for Team StarTale.
StarTale, Pet.
Not quite. This is actually Panic. Panic and Pet, they both start with a P, but Pet is a Zerg player, and this guy with the rather curly hair is Panic.
Yeah, so don't panic. Calm down.
Yeah, calm down, calm down.
It is Panic.
Don't pet
him.
Don't pet him.
Don't pet him. And always ask before you pet somebody else's dog, because you know you never know. You never know what type of dog it is. Some dogs really train with their owners to like get that level of respect, but when they meet a stranger, they're not so friendly. So you got to be careful about that. And also, if the dog just took a bath, ask the owner, because the owner might not want you nasty, dirty hands on that dog's clean fur. In some cases, you know, he doesn't know how clean your hands are, so ask first.
Huh? You never owned a dog, right?
I had a few dogs actually at
really?
one point, like 3 at once. Yeah.
3? Like dogs or like those small?
Like 2 big ones and then 1 small one, and then later on more small ones, like medium sized, I guess. Like a big lab, 2 of those for a while.
Okay.
And
cool.
So I didn't know that. I had some dogs.
Nice.
Did have one Shih Tzu though, and that was the small one. You know,
The what?
Shih Tzu. It's not profanity, but it can oftentimes be interpreted as spelled SHIH and then the space and then TZ.
Is that one of those handbag dogs?
Yeah. I mean, if you want it to be, it can be. It depends on how you train it and how you feed it, but.
Okay, that's a yes. But you had real dogs, okay. So.
Yeah, I did have real dogs.
All right.
Never got to have a husky though. I always wanted one.
I always wanted to have a husky too. The problem with a husky is like you need to really take care of a husky.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest dogs to actually take care of.
Yeah, and yeah,
so much energy, and it's a difficult task. By the way, we have an extremely fast expand here by Panic, like extreme fast expand, and Hurricane is going to have to react now because he's seen this, and he's probably actually like going into a little bit of a panic right now as he sees it.
I mean, as mentioned before, Panic in this matchup is 4-7, so a 36% win ratio. He lost to Trap and Alicia just recently and was 2-0 by JYP as well. That was for the qualifier in the Champions League. He won against Pure in the Challenger League then on the other hand. And Panic in general, not a bad player, but the recent games that he played offline, he was not really all successful. He shows a couple of really good games, but he didn't get the best results out of it since he had that run against Axiom Mesa. So Hurricane definitely the favorite player in the series here, and one of the victories that FXOpen was hoping for. But so far, Panic is doing a decent job here.
Yeah, and actually he's going to damage this Stalker quite significantly. And second Stalker's not here yet. This is the build that we see Deer do a lot in PvP, where he just takes a super greedy Nexus. He is really playing with fire on that Mothership core, by the way. And now, in a heavy risk situation, he may have to overcharge. 5 seconds left on that cooldown. And that's going to be it. He will have the overcharge now. But as far as builds go, Panic holds, and he's got a massive lead in income now.
Yeah, he has a massive lead in income since the expansion for Hurricane is super late. The Mothership core, he's gonna die. Wow.
That's a huge...
He might get a Stalker out of it, but I don't even think that's gonna happen. Nope, doesn't even get the Stalker, so the Time Warp saving the Stalker here.
That's actually, I mean, Panic is sitting here going, wow, I got everything right. Like, I mean...
Yeah. And that, of course, also was not really true at the Time Warp, of course, being used here by Hurricane and didn't save the Stalker, but despite the Time Warp, he saved the Stalker.
Exactly. And he just misclicked there for a second, but, I mean, this is a great position for Panic now. Faster Nexus.
Double
the only thing is missing
already.
Yeah, the only thing he's missing is the Robo, which he starts maybe 2 seconds late. He's already ahead in probe count. He's already ahead in Stalker count. He has the Mothership core with more energy, so he can use it defensively. Hurricane is really going to have to hope that this game goes late and he can take a better engagement now.
Or get a few lemons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing is, if a game goes late and they've got armies large enough to do that, it could certainly work out that way.
But I completely agree. He definitely has to do something right now. The opening is better for Panic, and he plays it a little bit more greedy, but he's being rewarded for it. And this is a best of one. We've been talking about this the entire series, and so far all the predictions, of course, came true, but at the same time, there can be an upset. It can be really quick, since best of one is very unforgiving if you make a mistake or if your opponent gets away with a better build order, which is currently the case here.
Just the feeling of frustration that our Hurricane must have right now, it's so annoying when you find that you're behind the door and then you're like, alright, I gotta make something work right now, then you kind of botch that and you get even further behind, and then you have to try to make a choice. And I like how Panic splits his Stalkers in his main and his natural, because he's probably expecting, alright, he's going to go Phoenixes or something. Like, he's got to do something a little bit strange here to catch me off guard, to try to catch up here.
I mean, Hurricane is not too far behind. He's a little bit behind his opponent, of course, so currently the advantage goes to Panic, but it's not game-winning or game-changing. So with a good engagement later on, then Hurricane could definitely come back not only in the game, but then take an advantage on zone.
Yeah, it's definitely not like it's the game is over or anything by any means. It's just it's an unfortunate, slightly uphill battle that Hurricane now has to play.
Good catch on the pylon, on the other hand, sees that, and that will definitely limit the warp in potential for Panic later on. So he can't just simply warp in a couple of Zealots later and try to sneak them into the mineral line during one of the fights. Both of them going down a very similar tech tree here. Twilight Council started for both. We have the first few upgrades already on the production tab.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, that Observer, could he snipe it? Ooh, going to be close. The Stalker's bumbling around on the left side and actually causes him to miss it. And
Tries to warp in another one, but
I think he might. Actually, 2 more shots will do it. Oh, one more.
he gets it.
No! He could have. He could have. It
Wow.
was in the attack animation. I don't know what happened there, but he was actually in the, attack animation and was winding up to do it. But both players actually going down the Templar path, skipping Colossi, which is becoming more popular in Korea.
Wait, did he get it? Yeah, it's gone, right?
I think he foolishly came back and walked right into the
there's
stalker.
nothing on the minimap anymore,
Yeah, he
so he
lost
must
it.
have been able to take down the Observer. 2 Observers currently for Hurricane, 1 for Panic.
This Observer will spot, looks like a faster third Nexus for Panic. And as a result, Hurricane moves out right away. As soon as he saw that probe, he's like, alright, you're thinking about doing this? I'm going to be here, and I'm going to capitalize on it.
He's going
Actually goes for the lemons.
Yep.
And, both good choices when you see your opponent might be taking a third base. The Phoenix does not see the lemon attempt.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get the lemons here. Both of them going into the Templar Archive now, as well as the Dark Shrine. I actually
Is that the second Templar Archive?
Either it's the second one, or he cancelled one.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
the second one. It's the second one.
Oh, ouch.
I was just about to mention that he might have just cancelled the first Templar Archive to get the DTs out a little bit faster, but going for the second one here, of course, it hurts a lot more of that.
And actually, that was a weird pile in there that did not get canceled, but he sees the lemons are being harvested, and that actually kind of evens out the small advantage that was there in the beginning of the game with a faster Nexus.
And a +2/+2 attack upgrade. Just a slight difference here, a little faster for Panic, but in general, the position for Hurricane is getting a lot better. The double Templar Archive certainly doesn't help the StarTale player.
Yeah.
And now with the lemons harvested, the lead in income for minerals is actually quite significant for Hurricane.
3,000, if you actually average it out, he's going to drop Heck down in just a moment, but
He's getting the second lemons as well.
yeah, and you know what? I cannot believe this is not contested.
Panic is just giving him free reign of the map.
Yeah, this is where Hurricane is just showing his experience and his ability to just, you're not over here, and I checked, you're still at the main, I just saw it send a Phoenix over, you're just kind of chilling there. He's like, well, I want to be out and active on the map. I'm going to be taking lemons.
Third base is also a little bit slower for Panic right now. He's definitely losing the edge that he had earlier.
There are 2 forward warp-in points for Panic. One at the top left and one at the topish area of the map. And he foolishly, I think if he had warped in like 3 DTs and a few Zealots, could have actually forced a cancel there, but instead he just sent 1 DT to attack a Nexus, and well, that's not only going to let your opponent know that you have DTs and he's going to make cannons everywhere, but also is not going to force a cancel a Nexus. That was kind of a weird decision that he put out there.
Yeah, the position for Hurricane is just getting better and better by the minute. I mean, he's already taking the lead in the army supply now, looking at 78 versus 69. We have him with the robotics base started. The second robotics facility is also on the way. So, just in general, Hurricane doing a great job here in forcing and solidifying his third base, even with cannons now, so that run-bys are not going to be a big problem for him.
Yeah, and upgrade-wise, he's catching up. It's about to be +2 against +2, and a Hurricane, he's continuing his upgrades. Panic has kind of forgotten to start +3. He could actually be pushing himself ahead.
He actually tried to go for the lemons again, but it's not time just yet. They didn't respawn yet, so he needs to wait a little bit longer, but he's already in position. He's just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, as soon as they do spawn, which will be in a few moments, could definitely grab those easily. A DT warp in here is going to be easily denied by cannons, something we talked about before. I mean, if you show your DT hand with just 1 DT swiping at an Nexus, of course there's going to be cannons everywhere. And the Colossus transition is on.
And that is something that Panic hasn't even started yet. You can see on the minimap that we have, like, for Hurricane, the vision of both lemons. He sees both of them.
He's just going to go ahead and warp in a bunch of Zealots. I like this choice. It's going to force the units back, and now he's going to take an aggressive position on the map. So this is smart. He even forces an overcharge here. And the 4th base, of course, not even going to get started.
One hit point. Warp Prism lives to fight another day, or to warp in another day.
Speaking of warp in, we have 4 Zealots to be dropped in the main as well as warp-ins, but he's got 3 cannons here, and that's going to be plenty enough to deal with this.
Yeah, and the position on the map now goes to Panic, as already pointed out earlier. Well, lemons are about to be back, and +3 has been started for Panic. That's one of the edges that he can take over his opponent. Hurricane instead starts the +3 tech upgrade a lot later, but goes down that path where he has Colossi at his disposal with range.
I feel like one of the things that Panic was trying to go for, hold that thought, Zealot warp in here actually easily denied, but feel like one of the things he wanted to go for was to force the units away so he could pick off that third base and then walk back, but he just couldn't get the position he wanted. A massive warp in here in the main base, a ton of Zealots going down, and that's going to be not enough cannons to deal with this. And actually, could he get the Bay? If he gets the Bay, that's going to delay Colossus production even further. Meanwhile, that Warp Prism not targeted. Zealots in the main going to be annoying.
Warp Prism, of course, now being contested by another round of Warp-ins for Hurricane himself. DTs against Zealots on the bottom left of the map. But the position goes still to Hurricane here, having a huge advantage in army supply.
Yeah, and he just killed a bunch of DTs that didn't do anything, so that was a massive gas dump.
Fourth base coming up now for the FXOpen player.
This is, you know, there are small little things that Panic is doing that I like, where he's making smart choices, but overall, Hurricane is playing the better game here. And with the fourth base up, if this is not shut down, Panic's going to be in such a bad spot.
Panic was just a little bit too timid after the early game that he had. He had a lot more opportunities to really put pressure on Hurricane, but he let the FXOpen player take the map and harvest those 2 lemons that gave him 1,000 minerals. Now in the middle of the map we have the first fight approach. A ton of immortals, of course, in the composition.
He's going to get the lemons
here. But once again, the lemons here for the FXOpen player, and that will put him to plus 1,500.
Only one cannon here, on the other hand. And you know what? If he actually kills a cannon and targets the Nexus with his DTs, if he microed at all here, he could actually do so much. I think he can maybe get all the recall.
That's funny as hell. Like, those DTs are just sitting there, and suddenly Hurricane takes a massive dump.
The fourth base, though. The fourth base is actually totally exposed here, and he's going to go for it, and the DTs continue to distract. That fourth base will be cancelled.
The fourth base, he cannot survive.
Or actually, it's already complete. You can't even cancel it.
But think about how much of a bad feeling that must be if you're a DTA and you're suddenly at the Nexus and it's completely exposed. You're like, yes, I'm going to take that down, and suddenly this massive recall comes like a hammer from them, like just boom.
And it like pushes the DTs away.
Push the DTs away and just get like sucker punched immediately. That was really sad.
That DT was brave, though, because you know what? I bet he could have escaped while the units were like still purple, you know, before they had fully transitioned in. He could have maybe gotten away, but he stood his ground.
Maybe he had tunnel vision.
Maybe so.
I'm not sure if it was really a smart DT.
You know, actually, the position here with the fourth base being saved is starting to look a little bit like it might swing back into Panic's favor. He needs to get a good defensive position against this push, though.
The bank is a problem. We have 2,000 minerals and 1,000 gas already for Hurricane, so in terms of warping potential after the first fight, the FXOpen player is looking at a much better position. But with a good position in the fight itself, Panic could, of course, take a massive lead here. And I like how he's using his DTs to really just try to annoy his opponent even more.
Yeah, actually, and then that DT warp-in right there comes from part of that bank. And that actually allows him to cancel the space because Panic made a huge mistake of turning his entire army around, having a little bit of tunnel vision there. But this position actually could be really good for him. He's going to catch these Colossi. Where are the Immortals? Great time warp there.
The first one goes down already. The second one being focused. The Immortals are trying to make their way to the front at the same time. The Archons for Panic are moving in and trying to finish this battle. Both of them still
Here
at
come
roughly
those
the same
Zealots,
army supply. The flank.
The flank is excellent here, and it comes a lot from that bank you were talking about before, but the Zealots on the retreat start to get cleaned up here.
Panic is in a massive lead in army supply right now. That bank that we were talking about earlier coming into play as Hurricane warps in another set of units, but in terms of just the warping potential, Hurricane is so far ahead with 14 against 8 warp gates.
Yeah. And with all the bank he had, you know, that really came into play. The fourth base is retaken now in the middle of the map. And again, Panic is overreacting to these small Zealot run bys. He's turning his entire army around for 4 Zealots. That's not what you want to do. You want to just warp in 4 of your own Zealots and keep that momentum going in the middle of the map. He gave away map control.
Talking about momentum, he's moving into the fourth now.
Yeah, he's trying to go for it. And I think he might be able to pick it off here. This is crucial. This is maybe even game ending here. If he can grab this army fight here. Immortal comes in for the flank!
Really well done here with the Warp Prism, dropping those Immortals behind enemy lines and going straight for those Colossi. One of them already down. The second and third one trying to escape. Your army supply goes to Hurricane on the other hand. Another round of Warp-ins happening for the FXOpen player. And it looks like Hurricane might be able to just clinch out the victory here. Going for another attack, chasing down Immortals and Colossi, and Panic is on the run.
Panic is on the run, and this time there's no way Panic is going to force Hurricane to turn around. Hurricane is going all the way here. He's killing the forward pile, and he's got the Warp Prism for forward warp ends. He's got Archons here charging down, and as soon as he gets that Immortal up at the front, I think that Panic's days in this game, his minutes, I guess you could say, are numbered.
Yeah, at this point we have not only a massive lead in army supply for Hurricane, he has that fourth base, and in upgrades he will also take the lead pretty soon. Great position here for Hurricane right now. And I would be very, very surprised if he allows Panic to come back into this game.
Yeah, he'd have to play like Panic to allow Panic to come back in this game, because really, Panic has played one of the most passive games, and just honestly, he's so sloppy on the multitasking. 2 Zealots walk into his main base, he turns his entire army around, gives up map control, and that's just a big mistake. That keeps allowing Hurricane to take the better positions in the fights.
Yeah, at first the fight looked really good. The first fight ended in favor of Panic, and then he had an opportunity to just go for it, take down that 4th base, and maybe even push a little bit farther than that. But it was not really working. Since Hurricane dropped into his opponent's base, Panic, as you said, moved everything back, lost a lot of time in the process.
Well, this Colossus drop is, I mean, probably just for a flank later. That was actually an annoying cancel there. I think that he has the army now. He's 50 up to just end the game. He's going to be safe about it. Goes for the lemons first. It's something that actually Panic spots, but he doesn't have enough army to make anything happen here.
He can't contest it.
No way. I'm still a little bit confused about the Colossus and the Warp Prism. He's probably going to flank with it, like I said, but I'm not sure.
That Immortal finds out that he is not so immortal after all, but the 4th base is also going down. The entire army of Panic is all the way to the left. This Nexus, there's no
Colossus drop, killing probes here, and actually going to have to pick up and leave, but will escape.
Whoa. Close.
Zealots are like, let me at him! And they actually block the Archons out.
But the 70 supply lead overall, that is kind of telling the story here. 90 army supply against 127.
Just look at the army value, too. Look at all the gas in this army. He's got so many Colossi. Yeah, the upgrade +2 about to finish.
Exactly, with the +2 armor upgrade, that's going to be a nail in the coffin, I guess.
It's hard to engage up a cliff like that, though.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But Hurricane knows that he's on 4 bases against 3, so he has all the time in the world.
All he needs to do is get the Warp Prism up here. He can make 25 Zealots instantly after the first few die. And if he gets up the ramp for any reason, that's going to be lights out. And actually, he's almost done it already. Very nice micro here by both players, but Hurricane just edging out a few victories.
He has the bank too, with 2,000 minerals and the gas and all the gateways that we were mentioning earlier already. He can just warp in after the fight. He even takes the 5th base right now because he can. There's no reason for him not to.
I think he might add even 4 or 5 more gateways soon.
Oh yeah,
because he's just going to be able to make, I mean, Infinity Zealots, as soon as they disappear, he's got another one ready. He can't break up the ramp. It's not going to happen. He can just keep denying bases and then eventually whittle down his opponent once he runs out of money.
He's going to try to starve him. He's checking everywhere on the map if there's another base for Panic, and he sees that Nexus attempt of the StarTale player. A 6th base is now also being built by Hurricane to the right side of the map.
He's just going to send a Zealot army over here alone to take out this base while actually getting up the ramp over here, but it's not going to be enough. He cannot fight here.
He has to be careful that he doesn't overextend, and he kills the Nexus without a cancel because Panic was just busy defending his other base. The Zealots are being sacrificed here, actually, not doing anything. That was a huge mineral dump.
Yeah, but you know, he has the minerals to afford it, and it looks like he's going to switch into Tempest here, because that's the one way to siege up a Colossus army. And actually, the Zealot investment was, I mean, it looks wasted, but actually to kill that base is so important. When you have 2,500 minerals, you can throw away 12 Zealots.
He needs gas, actually. Like, think about what happens when if you have a huge fight. Let's say Panic is able to catch up in army supply, they have a big battle, and then Panic actually wins the battle. Then suddenly there's only minerals.
But he needs to get that concave going here. And he actually, Hurricane is able to get the concave somehow on the top of the ramp. Zealot Warping for the flank, and this could end the game.
This could definitely end the game. The Archons are all gone, and this leaves only the Colossi. They're immediately being attacked, and this is Hurricane clenching out the victory and moving his way forward. GG! Panic leaves the game. Hurricane with a 2-2. And when this match began, when StarTale versus FXOpen today began, we were talking about the most likely outcome if all of the games go as you would predict, and that was a 4-2 prediction that we made here for StarTale. And the reason for this is that the next 2 games are going to be Seed versus Life and Tacita versus Bomber.
Yeah.
So right now, everything went as expected. We have the 2-2 after 4 games, and now things get pretty serious here.
Yeah, no, they really do, because FXOpen took the wins that the predicted wins. I don't want to say the obvious wins, but the wins where they feel the most confident about. They didn't get the Choya win, right? And they didn't get the first win. But these next 2 wins are a little bit more in reach than the JKS loss or the Choya loss. Like, those ones are ones where you're like, if we win those, it's a miracle. But the next 2, those are the ones where it's like, it's within reach. You can look at it and you can say, Seed can do this. Like, it's going to be hard. It's still a little bit of a stretch, but
I don't think he can. I love Seed. He's awesome. I really, really like him, and I wish him all the luck and success in the world. But going up against Life in a Zerg versus Protoss, think about the win ratio that Life has in this matchup.
it's like, what, 85, 86 or something like that high?
Well, I'm going to look up in a second, but it's like roughly at the 70-80% win ratio. And in that matchup, with the experience that he has, I mean, best of one, again. So, yes, you can win a game like this, but I feel out of like 100 games or 100 maps, Seed currently wins maybe 5 to 10 against him.
Yeah. And I think that, like, it's definitely highly favored to Life. But if you ask me, like, JKS, Choya, or Seed in those 3 matches, which one is the most likely to win, even though it is still unlikely, the one that's most likely to get a point out of the 3 of those, I think, is the Seed one. It's the most reasonable one. And I know some people would argue JKS for the ZVZ or Choya for the PvP, but Seed has, you know, surprised people in the past. He's come out in Team League and done crazy things. I don't think he's going to do it, but he could do it. It's you can see it, you know.
In his qualifier runs for the Challenger League, he did well, but then he fell short in the first runs of the Challenger League when he qualified. And, well, as I said before, Life has a 74 win percent
Okay, so not quite as high as I thought, but still pretty insanely high.
I mean, the last match that he lost was the game against Dia, and that was after Dia already prepared for Zerg for the Premier League final, and they played the last game of the GSTL series. But that was after all the preparation that Dia put into the Protoss versus Zerg, where he specifically practiced for that.
Yeah.
So this, I feel, is very, very different. I mean, going down the match history of Life here, it's insane. His record against Protoss it's just unreal.
It's going to be a mountain to climb for Seed, and I think, like, for Seed, it's the Seed style and how he plays. To win against Life with Seed is not actually an all-in or a cheese or a timing. It's just trying to hope that Life makes a mistake and trying to play the perfect game and being the better player that day somehow. Like, that's how Seed does it. Seed's not the guy who's going to go for, like, the double Colossus timing or, you know, a big commitment to, like, Void Ray all-in or something like that. He's going to hope for that good engagement in the late game, or, you know, he's going to try to Protoss his way through the end.
Seeing Life lose a Zerg versus Protoss is roughly the equivalent to seeing Innovation lose a Zerg versus Terran.
Which is roughly the equivalent of, like, seeing a shooting star and you're like, oh my god, I gotta make a wish.
You see a lot more shooting stars than that.
Well, I mean, it's similar. It's similar, right?
On a clear sky.
Yeah. Clear sky.
I don't know.
You heard about it on the news. There might be a shooting star.
I think your chances of seeing a couple of shooting stars are much higher than seeing Innovation lose a Zerg versus Terran or Life losing a Protoss versus Zerg these days. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, but, like, this is going to be, I don't know, this is going to be super, super tough for FXOpen right now. I think they really had to hope to win one of those earlier games.
Well, let's be honest, like, Seed was one of the best players in the world at one point. He actually won a GSL. And if you look at his recent 5 GSTL matches, it's like the perfect like analogy or perfect picture of, like, where he's been recently. He lost his last 5 games in GSTL, wasn't able to win a single one. He's 6-10, and he's not in his best place right now.
As I said earlier, I really like Seed. I mean, I'm good friends with him. He's a fighter. We always talk, and he's one of the players that I'm probably, like, the closest to in Korea, but he knows also that he's definitely the underdog in this particular matchup. He's one of those guys that never gives up and that always is very critical to himself and says, like, yeah, I need to improve here, I need to improve there. He got very unlucky with a lot of the draws that he got for the Challenger League, actually, so he will always try to fight his way back, and I guess that in the next qualifier for the Challenger League, we can also once again expect a lot of good things from him. But he also is not very solid in the matchup itself. He has a 38 win ratio, and he lost in the GSTL to Yongju and Curious. Before that, he lost to Savage. So, going up against Life right now, I mean, there's a huge difference between losing to Yongju and then suddenly going up against Life and winning it.
Oh, that's so true.
I mean, he has a chance. It's a best of one. But, like, right now, FXOpen has to hope for a small miracle, I feel.
Life right now is sitting there going, wow, I didn't roll Enoch, that's sick. Now I got a Protoss, like, awesome. So he's got to be feeling extremely confident going into this one. And Life is never a player who gets any sort of, he doesn't put emotions into it. He doesn't get overconfident. He doesn't get, you know, scared or nervous. He just sits in the booth and he plays reactionary and he wins games. And Seed is really, I mean, this game is really all about Seed. Life is basically like a robot AI challenge it's like a mini game we're watching right here. It's like, can Seed beat Life? It's not can Life beat Seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all about Seed right now. Can he beat Life? Because not even one person in the world is thinking that Seed, of course, he'll take Life out.
Yeah, Choya is in a position where he needs one win out of the next 2 games, and it's definitely going to be very, very tough. Not only for Seed here, but think about what's going to happen if, no matter how this game ends, the next game is going to be Tacita versus Bomber. And, well, good luck, Tacita.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that next game. Like, there's a lot of things to say about that, but
we're going into the match right now, ladies and gentlemen. Protoss versus Zerg, the first non-mirror match of the day now. We have Seed up against Live, FXOpen versus StarTale, the GSTL.